Good morning, AM Path Chat covering FX. This is Bob Iacchino along with Mike Arnold from Path Trading Partners. Interesting thing, China reported its trade figures last night, and they reported their first trade deficit in 3 years. Very, very interesting set of numbers out of China, considering that China is really one of the main focuses lately in the FX markets in terms of dollar strength and direction of all of the major pairs. So China coming out with a trade deficit, quite the surprise. Their trade balance has been in surplus, as I mentioned, for 3 years. So that was a bit of a surprise to the market. Germany's industrial production came out flat, but it was expected down, so that's a positive. Switzerland's consumer price index year over year increased, expected at up 0.4, came out at up 0.6. So even though Switzerland is not part of the euro, they continued inflation increases from that part of the world, which is a good thing overall. We also had U.S. ADP employment change. ADP is strictly private payrolls, no government numbers included in the ADP employment change. And it blew out the expectations. Expectations were for an increase of 185,000, came out at 298,000 new jobs. Now they just report a change, so it's either positive or negative. This obviously was very positive. Last was 246K. A couple of interesting things about this ADP report. People tend to immediately bump up their non-farm payroll estimates when ADP beats its estimate. But there is no proven correlation that I've seen, at least, between the two. There just isn't. When you look at some of the data that's out there, for example, January's ADP was at 261, January's non-farm payroll 227, December 200 versus 157, November 266 versus 164. However, in October, 61,000 on the ADP number, 124 on the non-farm payrolls, and September of last year, 216 versus 249. Go back to August of last year, 140 versus 176. And then you go all the way back to June of last year, and non-farm payrolls was well above ADP. So a 298 ADP number does not mean a 300, 315,000, 275,000 non-farm payrolls number. Currently, the estimates for Friday, and I'm going over this so you guys have time to think about it and look at it before Friday. Currently, the non-farm payrolls estimate is at 190K. It was at 227,000 previous. Now that matches up with ADP's estimate and previous, so it would be natural for your human brain to think that we're going to get close to 300,000 non-farm payrolls. There is no correlation that I've seen between those two numbers in terms of when they underperform their expectations. Let me turn it over to Mike to let you know what he is seeing on the charts.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for all that information, Bob. So Euro US dollar ran down earlier today to a key gain level 105.35, and now it's rallying back up. If we go back down, watch for that 105.35 level again. Rising trend line also coming in there. If we break below that trend line, next level down is 105.23. followed by 105.10 right down here. We have a lot of things coming in for support down here. If we continue to rally, my next levels based off shorter term Gann work is 105.61, followed by we have a small little cluster in the 105.74 to 105.77 area. The next cluster is a 105.84 to 87 area. And we have our starting to decline rotation zone, so lots of overhead resistance. If we do get above this next 105.87, watch for a retest of the 106 level, then the 106.20 level right up here. Gann area, declining trend line, and a starting to turn lower 50-period exponential moving average. Pound, reach down, hit the full target on the double. So that is now done, that double, which triggered back, oh boy, a couple weeks ago, finally reached its full target, never stopped out. So I'm going to take the double target off the charts. Now, further levels down. We can next level based off other shorter term GAN work. We have 121.29 is the next lower level. Right now we're sitting at a very key GAN area, 121.67. So those are your levels. If we do go lower, remember right now this is very low pound. There's not a lot of key levels in here. So this could stop at many different places or plummet through there. That's why it's a little tricky down here to call out levels. We'll do as much work for you guys to help fine tune the levels to give you key things to key off if it does go lower. 120.77 is another key level lower, and 120.41. Should we continue this pullback and turn around and rally higher, watch for 122.16 to 122.56 right in here where the 8's coming into decline. Then if we get above there, next area higher is the 122.99, essentially the 123 level. Yen went down today, tested the rising rotation zone now. It's now right on this key significant level, 114.66. If we get above there, watch for a retest of the 114.75 key defining point. A move above there takes us to 115.12 GAN level. And then above that, we're not targeting much until the 116.01. So there's sort of a vacuum in there. Now, there can be some stopping points at these prior highs, so watch for that also. If it does turn lower, watch for retest of 114.24 and then 114.01. And beyond that, you have the rising rotation zone and then the 113.36 level. Swissy got back up yesterday, reached up to that cluster I was talking about right around 101.66, sold back down below our trend line. Now we've retested the trend line to the downside and rounding again. Right now we're sitting at the 101.45 GAN level. Continue to move higher, 101.66 again. If we get through there, then we're looking at the 101.80 area, and then above that, 102.26 all the way up here. Pullback levels, 101.02, followed by the rising 21, which is right around 100.80. Aussie, yesterday we ran up, hit the rotation zone, collapsed back down, pretty much closing on a key GAN cluster and significant level right around the 75.93. Today tested the 8 and the declining rotation zone, now have plummeted back down below that 75.76 GAN level, and then the key low, which is, let me move this trend line, which was a defining point on this redrawn trend line. So that's going to be key resistance. Should we pull back, watch for a retest of 75.42 area. Continuing lower, 75.22, followed by this, we have another key significant level and a GAN level extension at 74.93. If we get back above that defining point, watch for a retest of the 75.67 level. CAD, really yesterday tested the trend line and moved back up. We're now above the 134.41 GAN level. I don't have much resistance or targets until we get to around the 135.20 area, which is up at this GAN level, and it's a bunch of prior highs and key closes. Watch for that. We have a sort of a vacuum up here that we don't have. We're into a clear path move without a lot of stopping points. Above that 135.20 level, 135.40 key significant level. Pulling back, if we pull back, watch for support back at this trend line. We have a rising 8 and we have the GAN cluster. All that's going to come in right around the 133.65 to 133.80 area as key support. And then if we pull back today to test something, watch for a retest of the 134.41. Finally, peso didn't get down to the significant level target yet. We are reversing, going higher, already through the 1961.30 level. Now we're at the 1967.26 area, target area, breakdown, prior breakdown zone, and declining 8. So that's going to be pretty key resistance. If we rally upward to a declining rotation zone, just watch for a retest of the trend line. turning back lower, watch for retests of yesterday's close, and then we have the 1938.83 significant level and target. That's all I have for you, Bob. Back to you.
Thanks, Mike. A lot of big moves on there. Remember, if you're positioning yourself for Friday, just because there's no correlation between ADP and non-farm, don't think that they won't match up. What no correlation means is there's no correlation. So it could come in line with ADP. It could come out way higher. It could come out way lower. Just go by price action like we always preach, and you won't have any issues. Just don't rely on numbers. If you're positioning yourself for a blowout number Friday, it may happen. It may not. Money Path Podcast, we'd love it if you'd listen to that, subscribe to that. You can find it by typing the Money Path Podcast into your iTunes or Google Play search bars, or find it at our website, pathtradingpartners.com. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for listening.